Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed on 1/1/2020, but we started Together for Sharon.com in her memory and to advocate today for a cure for all those still battling PD and their families because I believe, and I believe our guests will agree, no one is ever alone in this fight. Today's guest is someone who is not just special, but important. I consider him family, so I always am honest on the show. I'll have to make this statement before I do love this man as a brother. So, it's not like we're strangers. We're actually been, I think, a year now, which goes quickly, knowing each other. And we both try to share one another's platform, and not for anything except that we hope, and I'll speak for myself, let him do it soon, but I hope for myself that if we could just reach one person today out there struggling or feels alone like I did as a caregiver, my mother did as someone with Parkinson, then to learn the beautiful things that my friend Dr. Hyland's doing really can change your life. And again, we don't want anything in return except to see some smiles, someone feeling a little better. And again, it's a real pleasure and honor to have you today, Michael, on the show. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, George. It's great to be here, and I appreciate you inviting me to speak to you today and to everybody watching and listening. Um, I hope that this is valuable for you all.
I really appreciate it. And I've been, excited for a long time because we've worked so much together, whether posting or just talking. And you're always there for me, which means the world. So let's get started. And maybe you could tell us a little bit, about your background. Really, what's interesting is that, again, you're a physical therapist, but that kind of shift into the world of Parkinson's is something that is very, not rare, but very important for the Parkinson's community.
Right. Yeah. Well, first of all, my journey into physical therapy wasn't traditional either. A lot of folks that I went to school with either had a relationship with somebody who either a therapist worked with them after a sports injury, or they had a family member that went through therapy, or they were involved in sports medicine, athletic training, something like that. I actually, my dad had a friend who went to physical therapy. He was a physical therapist back in the 70s, is when he went to school, and he thought I might like that profession, and so I looked into it more. And when I entered into the PT world, it was through the the guts and glory, so to speak. I worked in as an aide in a hospital, and it was a level one trauma center. So I saw basically everything you could imagine seeing in a hospital: the worst patients that were suffering and dying, burn units, all that kind of thing. So, but I actually really enjoyed it and wanted to help people, and I felt like that was a way I could do that. But long story short, when I was in therapy school, I was really interested in neuroscience. I didn't know where I wanted to go, what direction I wanted to go with that, but Parkinson's disease was an area that I hadn't really. I mean, we all learned about it in class and in lab, but for me, it really made a big impact, a deep impact on me, especially seeing the people with Parkinson's in their journey as they would do therapy to help themselves to get better, and knowing that that would be a big impact on them. And a short story that led me into that deep impact, or that had such a deep impact on me, was um, his name is Anders Linus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that 100% correct, but he's a Norwegian gentleman that has Parkinson's, young onset Parkinson's. He was diagnosed at 47 years old in, I think, 2009, or, and yeah, that's right. And he made a video. He's a cinematographer on the side. He made a video about his own journey going through LSBT big therapy, which was at the time a really brand new protocol. 2000, I think, seven was the first year they had PTs becoming certified in that protocol. And so when I was in the classroom and laboratory at school, that was only 2 or 3 years later. So anyway, he went through this journey. It was a very inspiring video that he made, about his change in lifestyle and adopting daily exercise, especially this high intensity protocol, as a way to fight Parkinson's. And the, it was really not the therapy itself. I mean, the therapy itself inspired me, but I think to me it was the mindset behind what he said in his own documentation of what he went through, is this mindset shift that he had to go through, um, and a lifestyle. He used the word lifestyle more than once, and but yeah, just the resilience. I felt like he had such resilience, such determination to make a difference, and in fighting against the negative effects of the disease. And as I learned, most people with Parkinson's have that mindset, even if they were diagnosed at 65 plus. They want to get better. They want to do what they can. At least in my experience, they want to do what they can to get better and to prevent things from getting worse. And so that's always been a driving force for me, because at that time, seeing that video for the first time, I said, that's what I want to do as a physical therapist. And that's what has become reality. I was only a year out of school and I became certified in LSVT big. And I've been helping people with that therapy program since that time. So that's what, 11 years out of 12, I've been a therapist. And it's been a great journey. And I've also, at this point now, turned to education as another passion of mine. Um, so um, not just helping people physically with the disease limitations that I can help with, but also helping to impart knowledge to help people to be empowered to know what's going on and to know what possibly to expect with their process of going through life with Parkinson's.
Yeah, I really love the education part because many individuals might be obviously certified or allowed to do physical therapy, but continuing education is important. As I can picture you in the, even virtually in the hospital, still teaching in the colleges and nursing in so many places, but also in the Parkinson's community, which is really the biggest impact. So thank you for your service and all you do. It's kind of funny because my mother used to joke with me that, I should do physical therapy because I love the gym and before all my injuries, there was life,
Mhm.
but I couldn't pass any science, so I ended up becoming a cop, lawyer, and professor. So I think we're all sent here for a reason, and I'm glad I met you because yours is definitely the purpose of helping so many people, and also so many questions. I hope we get to them all. I do want to, in a minute, share, and as I share some of the beautiful work that you do, I wanted to first start with thanking you for helping us in the past with an interview. If everyone goes to togetherforsharon.com, click interviews, you can see a lot more with the doctor about his background, as he mentioned, his advocacy, but more importantly, a lot about programs and how they can also reach out to you, which is important. Also, this is maybe you can talk for a moment about this incredible website, which is named after you, so you might recognize it.
It does look a little familiar. Um, so this is actually our practice. I didn't say this earlier. My background as a physical therapist, I mentioned, but I started my own practice in 2018 and really started to double down into Parkinson's, more than double down, pretty much 100% of what we do, in 2019. And we actually work on, primarily through LSVT Big is how we help people, physical and occupational therapy. Um, and yeah, so the website is, it's a kind of a humble website because I built it myself, but it gets the job done, so to speak.
Well,
um, Gets people at least finding our contact information, and um, yeah.
I love it. Well, please go to hylandpt.com. That's only the first one. And the best thing is if you go to the bottom, you can click on all the links that the doctor can help. And I like those links because if you and I follow it, obviously we share it probably all the time. Already subscribe, everyone. If you go to this YouTube, I'll share it. Parkinson Disease Education. Literally takes 1 second. You click subscribe, and we need to get this up to 1 million. As in, I'm not joking. I know it's everyone laugh, but I don't believe we should. I think we need, a million or so individuals in the U.S. Are battling Parkinson's and 10 million globally. There's no reason we can't have a million following the great doctors. So some of the videos, again, we shared. I actually am glad it was muted because I always like to watch you watch yourself. So, but maybe you could talk a minute about some of this amazing educational resources and also, please follow the doctor at Parkinson Disease Education. It's very simple to remember on Instagram and also importantly, Facebook. And also, I believe you have a group, but if not, please go
I
to
do have a group, yes.
Parkinson Disease Education. And what was the name of the group?
It's a Parkinson's disease education community.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll have to send that to me. I'll add that, but there's all important links. So if you're not a fan, Facebook, you can still reach the doctor here on Instagram. I'm always, again, as we talk, liking and hearting because I think it's very educational. It's, I notice even when I do social media that people might, enjoy a post about something, but when they see you and, kind of hear you, even like what we're doing today, it's a lot more
Right.
fascinating. So maybe again, just for a moment, you can talk us through a little bit about what they might find on your YouTube and all the social media.
Absolutely. So, and I'll be the first to admit my Instagram is a little bit less posted on as my other socials, but I try to do some fairly often. As far as the the main, I guess, publication I try to do the most, trying to think, the most regularly, the most intentionally is the YouTube channel and the podcast, which are actually the podcast used to be called a different name, but I've since merged the content. So what you see on the YouTube channel, you're going to hear on the podcast. So you can certainly watch the video form, or listen, however you prefer. Excuse me. But essentially, there is a podcast playlist on the channel, Parkinson's Disease Education channel slash podcast. You can see right there to the right on your screen. There is under playlist. There's the Parkinson's Disease Education playlist on the far right. And as a matter of fact, George's interview with me was on the far left there. Um, Back that was already a year ago already. It's kind of crazy. So this basically just the podcast idea behind the YouTube version is it kind of takes you through essentially like a little journey of education on Parkinson's disease. Every topic I can think of, and there's always ongoing new topics coming. I try to poll the audience to find out what they want to find out next, and go with that. That's a very popular thing I've done recently. And of course, it's about the person watching, not about me. So I want to talk about and do videos about what people want to hear about. Um, so um, yeah, so what you see on the YouTube channel and here on the podcast is essentially my trying to spread awareness of just the symptoms of Parkinson's, the non-motor, the motor symptoms, all kind of deep dives into specific either symptoms or topics related to Parkinson's that may not be talked about in your neurologist office. It's uh, it's something that most physicians honestly don't really have time to educate as much on a deeper level as we do on these publications. Um, and we may address this later, but that's one of the reasons why I've created a course and want to help people on an even deeper level than what I can on the YouTube channel or on the other socials. Um, so basically, what I do on all the socials universally is I tend to try to share what I've done on the channel and the podcast, and and just support as many people as I can. I'm in a lot of Facebook groups with Parkinson's, individuals with Parkinson's in them, and I do try to contribute with my expertise in those groups as in the threads as well when I can. So yeah, this is what you're seeing here is the page
Mhm.
for the YouTube channel and podcast. By the way, you can see the following is a little smaller than on the YouTube channel. So if everybody that's a YouTube subscriber or follows me on socials could please like and follow this page, that would be great.
And we'll share it too. One
It,
question is, how do you have incredible topics. I find myself sometimes, even with my blog, they come up topic, but how do you keep it so original and new and fresh? Because it's eventually, if you've been doing this for 10 years, I imagine it might get tougher. But the nice thing is you can always, repost them like we're talking today. We hope everyone will support the doctor, also share this podcast. It's really just for awareness. We want everyone out there to know there are doctors like Mr. Hyland out there that are providing some incredible service. A lot of them are free. He has a course now, which I think is incredible. Maybe you could touch on that too before we kind of head back to the studio and talk more about you.
yeah, sure. The course is called Parkinson's Roadmap: A Journey from Confusion to confidence, excuse me. And the premise behind that course is really just like the YouTube channel and everything else. It's really to help people, especially newly diagnosed, but it doesn't have to be. It could be anybody, even if they've had the disease for 10 or 15 years, or caregivers, care partners, to learn as much as possible about Parkinson's disease in the most succinct, bite-sized way possible that I know of. And essentially that course, and we're talking about this kind of early because we haven't even launched yet.
Yeah, I was gonna ask where can they sign up, but I guess for now they can reach you at
Well,
social media.
one of the things I was going to encourage the viewers or listeners to look at is you saw that pop up on the website about a quiz. There's a little quiz, and actually there's even a link there at the top. It's just essentially a little quiz on, hey, what's your confidence level with your knowledge of Parkinson's disease? Or in other words, how confident you are that you know enough or that you can handle the situation if you're a care partner or a person with Parkinson's. And that quiz is just a free quiz that kind of gives you a little idea of where you stand with your knowledge level. And you may find that you know a little bit, but maybe could learn more. So or maybe you're a novice and you don't know much at all. So in any case, that quiz is a nice little a little way to test that knowledge. And I do plan on having anybody that signs up for that on a list that could get information about the new class, the new course. And just to give you a preview, that course is planned on. There's a webinar that we're going to be doing in January to lead up to the course. The webinar is essentially going to be 5 things you need to know about Parkinson's disease, and it's just going to be a one-time webinar to lead up to when the cart opens. And so that's planned for, I believe it's January 8th. And so I'm going to be doing that webinar and the cart will open, and that course is going to start in January and will be approximately a month long. So we're going to be meeting 2 or 3 days a week, going through about 12, essentially 12 topics related to Parkinson's disease, everything from the disease process itself to treatment options, motor symptoms, non-motor symptoms, and everything in between. And so the only the main motivation I have for this course is to help people to really get a firm grasp on things. And even if going through that course you still have some knowledge deficit, I would think it would be much drastically different afterwards. But even if you still have some questions or some uncertainties from point A to point B, it's going to be vastly better than waiting for the answers and trying to search for them yourself, whereas most people are forced to do that. Unfortunately, when we are loved one or loved ones are diagnosed with Parkinson's, often the physician essentially doesn't have the time to really educate thoroughly. And to be honest, even as well-intentioned as they may be, even the most sound movement disorder specialist may not even provide the resource or where to go for that knowledge. And there's a lot of options. There's Michael J. Fox, there's Davis K. Finney Foundation, all these big foundations that provide wonderful information. But in my experience, it's information overload. It's not taking one topic and unpacking that and then going to a different topic and unpacking that. It's researching the website for these specific issues that can come along with Parkinson's. Excuse me. And a lot of times people may not ever make the connection with Parkinson's and these symptoms. You know what I mean? So, and I know you've experienced that with Sharon. I'm sure there are things that you really just never. I remember from reading your book, there are definitely symptoms that just didn't get connected, right? But whereas if you had that foreknowledge, you might have thought, oh, I wonder if this could be related, you know. So that's just an example. My passion is wanting people to not feel that fear and doubt upon diagnosis. I want them to think, okay, I've got this. We can figure this out, and we've got um, some resources and tools that we can use to kind of figure this out. And we may not see all these symptoms with this journey or experience all these things, but at least if it comes up, it's not going to be a shock or, um, a complete surprise during the headlights kind of thing.
Yeah, and once your link is available and more information, we'll definitely share it around the world too.
Yes, we definitely will.
Keep this posted. And then I wanted to shift now a little bit about you, but before we do that, one thing that kind of baffled me, which I'm not sure if you're aware, in Florida at least, they started about several years ago. My mother wasn't doing well. Long-term hospice. It's something that they don't, back then, they didn't really consider Parkinson's as an end of life disease, so it was very complicated, even probably still today in Florida. I don't know about other states, but one thing is when you do enter that, if you qualify, it is helpful because they send a real nurse. They'll have people who 24/7 who can help. The one downfall, which I do not believe in, is they do not allow for physical therapy, and that kind of is the only hope that a person has with Parkinson's. And my mother always used to ask me, George, will she be here for her daughter Brooke's wedding someday? And I never said yes or no. We were told by 15 medical professional doctors that you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with it. And my mother had no other medical issues at all. So maybe she didn't die of Parkinson's, but she did die and passed due to the complications of the medicines and the
Right.
disease. So in a way, she did. So my
Right.
odd question is, and you don't have to answer, but I wonder why physical therapy profession, or maybe it was more of the hospice world in Florida, doesn't allow for physical therapy. And it's sad if it really is just comes down to money and things, but I
Mhm.
think that even if you are struggling, even if it was just to move a hand or finger, you should still be able to have that
It,
opportunity.
honestly, it comes down to honestly, I don't think it's state specific whatsoever. Honestly, it's federal, because it's determined by what CMS considers to be um, qualification for hospice versus restorative care or palliative care, that kind of thing. So, um, CMS, once you're under a hospice episode of care, which you can come off of hospice, it's not
Right.
necessarily permanent. But if you're on a hospice plan of care that falls under the Part A benefits, um, which is like hospital or skilled nursing, that kind of thing. And once you're on hospice, the mindset is not um, necessarily restorative. And so therapy, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but in CMS, when I say CMS, I mean Medicare, for those of you who are in the US. Um, with CMS's mindset, they don't consider hospice to be a restorative. Well, they don't. That therapy is considered a restorative occupation. So you got physical, occupational, speech therapy, and so forth. Those are considered restorative because you're trying to help somebody get from point A to point B and improve that person. And with hospice, it's more of a mindset of keeping them safe medically. They're comfortable, not in pain. They've got they're able to get the equipment that they need to live in the home, like a hospital bed, oxygen equipment, things like that, wheelchair. Now, if somebody comes off of hospice, they're perfectly eligible to do those other services. But yeah, again, it's kind of, in my mind, hospice should probably cover some therapy just for, um, I would say, for pain management, for functional, uh, functional stability at the very least.
Yeah.
But it's not looked at that way for some reason. I'm not really sure why. But again, that's the law, and changing the law takes legislation. So, and that's glacial. So,
I appreciate it. Just, it's odd because I do agree if it's like it's a week, but for a year, they need to look at that. Maybe everyone listening can write to your congressmen and women. But maybe now we can talk a little bit more about you. Can you list 3 words that describe who you are?
3 words that describe myself. Um, I would say patient, compassionate, and um, trying to think of a third attribute. I guess
We could
sorry
always
for the background.
come back. Here's the next one, but I appreciate it. What is one moment, which you kind of shared earlier, but one moment or most memorable moment that stands out through most of your work and awareness you could share with us?
Excuse me a second. Yeah, gosh, narrowing it down to one moment is hard. Um, I I don't know. I would say that it's more instead of one moment, I would say it's a recurring theme for me, which whether it's in person working with patients as a therapist or interacting with people online, whether it's through YouTube or wherever. I feel like one common thread that comes out constantly is Michael or Dr. Hyland, whatever they are calling me. You're the first person that has actually stopped and taken the time to explain that to me. And anyway, that's always had an impact on me because for me, it's that in particular is what fuels part of my passion, is because nobody should feel that way,
Yeah.
in my opinion, that they're not being listened to or heard, or that they're not being given that information up front to the point where they feel, that they feel confident with they're in the unknown. Exactly, is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. And this is not always an easy profession. Obviously, it's a service type, and you're really helping so many people. But I like to take a moment, as everyone watching knows, to thank the people behind the scenes in your life. And I was wondering who helps you during times of struggle, because, like, you know better than me that sometimes you just don't have an answer. Like I couldn't always answer what my mother's questions because you didn't want to say the wrong thing, or even if it was right, you're not sure what would change. But it was just who helps you, during these tougher times in your life.
Well, I know for me, my wife is my best friend, and so anytime that I'm struggling with anything or have had a bad day, or just have doubts, I know that I can be vulnerable and share that, and she will encourage me or validate my feelings, or both. Um, and I wouldn't be able to do anything I'm doing without her, because starting an entrepreneurial journey is very scary, and it's stressful, stressful financially, and and just that there's an unknown level there, an element of unknown there too, of starting any new adventure. It's like, what is this going to work? Is it not going to work? Where are we going with this? And so I will say that she's always been supportive of, very supportive of this, but also encouraging in that I'm doing the right thing by doing my podcast, for example, and the YouTube, and that I need to keep going with it.
Well, we
And
sent out, yeah.
I was just gonna say it also takes a team effort, because we have 5 kids and soon to be 6.
Oh,
So
congratulations. That's one of them than a minute ago. It's yelling at the outside. That's
that was one of them I was yelling at. Yeah, they were yelling first though.
right. If you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it, and what actor would play your role?
Goodness gracious.
That sounds like a good name.
Goodness gracious, that's the name right there.
Well, with 6 kids, that's probably the perfect name.
I don't know. I would say, yeah, you could. It could have a subtitle. Goodness gracious. um, a man's journey from therapist to advocate.
Sounds like my book.
Sort of.
And then who would play you as what actor?
Oh, uh, I don't know. Um, that's a good
Uh,
question.
Tom
Maybe.
Hanks. Tom Hanks.
Oh, I don't know about Tom Hanks. I don't know if I'm quite Tom Hanks material. I'm thinking more Toby Maguire or somebody.
And you're gonna have to,
You know?
you're gonna have to be wearing a Spider-Man outfit also while
That's right.
you're
Well,
physical.
hey, I'm whenever I don't wear my contacts, I'm kind of the nerd in dark glasses, you know.
Nice.
So
And then, unfortunately, at the last note, but like I say, everyone, we have to keep this conversation going. After the lights and cameras go off, we have to keep sharing this. This is not a conversation that really ends after we click off. It has to be shared several times a month, all year round, till we come closer to a cure. And until we do have a cure, you provide such incredible, not just inspiration, but tips and really life-changing and saving areas that can help so many struggling today and battling Parkinson's. Often, I just thought the other day, because someone mentioned, we do kind of concentrate more on a cure, but right now we can't, we have to concentrate on people who need the help right now today too. So it's really kind of a two-pronged thing that sometimes gets lost, unfortunately. So until the cure is at all our doorstep, I really am grateful for all that you do. And I just wanted to end with, if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, what would they be?
well, I would say first of all, you're not alone. And George already alluded to this at the beginning. This is a community, and it is a journey that doesn't have to be undertaken alone. Even if it feels isolating at times, there are other people with Parkinson's disease that know what you're going through. There are other people that have loved ones with Parkinson's that know what the other loved ones are going through. Um, and there's people like us who don't have Parkinson's but are supporting you behind the scenes and out front as well. And so it takes a village to care for a person with Parkinson's disease, but that village is definitely available. So lean into that village and lean into the help that people want to give, because um, even if you don't need it early on in the diagnosis, you will need that community as you progress. And as you, I said, progress isn't the right word. I would say you need that community as you move forward with your journey living with Parkinson's disease, because it is living with Parkinson's disease, whether or not that ends up ultimately in Parkinson's taking your life or resulting in complications that take your life. You can live a long and active and effective life with Parkinson's, and just don't give up. Do the do everything you can to fight back, and also to live with Parkinson's.
I appreciate it. I usually say a quote each show lately, and this one kind of relates to what you just said by Dave Checketts, but success builds character, failure reveals it. And a lot of the things that you mentioned really depict that, and you can't give up. And we're not going to have failure because of incredible doctors like Dr. Hyland, who I can consider friend, family, and grateful for all he does and his time, and many texts at all hours of the day and night, because when I'm struggling sometime or need advice, he's always right by my side. And I really can't say words alone wouldn't thank you is enough. And thank the family too, because I'm sure your wife probably wants to know who this guy is texting you all the time, but she's the best. And we send our love to the whole family and the future one coming. I have three, and I thought that was a lot. Six is going to beat me on that one. But I do have a little message for you, doctor, and everyone listening. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with the doctor, will advocate for you, and I feel together our voices are so much stronger. And I always end the show with just saying I'm just getting started, because even though I'm not, every time I might have a tough day or something's happening, whether it's health or work or family, I literally look to social media of individuals like Dr. Hyland, and it kind of motivates me to kind of brush it off and jump right back up there, even if it counts coming out of anesthesia. I've actually done that too.
Right.
I'm watching your videos and then getting motivated, and just, I just feel we don't do this for anything more but to help people. And I don't want anything, like I say, every show except a cure at everyone's doorsteps around the world. So thank you again, doctor. Thank you everyone for listening. Please share this. Please support the show. Please also go to highlandpt.com, and also Parkinson Disease Education on YouTube, and also so many source areas like Facebook, Instagram, but we'll share it all. There's just so much more to come, and I just am honored that I can do this with you, doctor, and for everyone out there listening. This has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon and George. Please stay tuned. We have so much more to come. And as I always say, until the cure is at everyone's doorsteps worldwide, I won't stop fighting. And if that takes holidays, sick day every day, Parkinson doesn't take a break, so I don't think I should either. So we send our love, especially during this holiday season, for all those battling Parkinson's and families like mine and the great doctors who might not have a seat at the conversation due to PD, but their memory will still live on because of people like the doctor and all of you. So we send our love and support and thank you again for listening.
Thanks for all you do, George.
Thank you. You too.